Jason Moore here again at Guitar Solo Dojo. Continuing our Van Halen II theme, I'm going to break down a little bit more of Beautiful Girls. I think I did the rhythm part or the intro part last time, maybe the verse. And now we're going to do the solo and a couple key fills that I think are pretty iconic in this tune. There's a ton of them in the tune, so I might do a video later just with all the fills in the outro because there's a bunch of them there too. But to start, we'll just kick it off with the solo. The solo, short and sweet, totally awesome, and it's kind of quick in one section, but other than that, I think it's perfectly attainable if you just chip away at it. And so we'll just start with that solo. So basically, it doesn't start in anything tricky in terms of timing or anything like that. Just 2, 3, 4, bam. So it hits that first note on the and of 4, I think. So we got this 5th fret on the G string. I don't think that pentarmonic is there, but and then we do the same thing on the 7th fret of the D string. So the key is just do start it on the end. So 2, 3, 4. Right? Otherwise, you'll kind of run out of time to do the rest of it. In terms of how to dip the bar, you hit the note, pretty simple, and it's after. So instead of like a pre-bend, it's just after. And it's that typical effect of hitting the note twice, except you're using the whammy bar to do the second note. That leads us up to that little fill right there, or section of the solo. And if you listen to this slowly and you listen to it isolated, you'll hear he's sliding from one section of the neck to the next section of the neck. Now you could get really, really detailed and say, okay, it's not so important where you slid to necessarily, as long as you're not hitting something really strange. It's more important to keep the natural feel and the natural feel of just sliding up to that position of the fretboard. You probably don't have to think about it anyway. You'll probably end up doing it incidentally, which is the way a lot of this stuff happens. Now the next slide up section that he goes to is of the 14th fret of the B string, leading into this, basically this F sharp minor pentatonic thing. So, right, and this one's pretty important because you're locking into place when you slide up, right, up to this 14th fret in the B and the high E string. The other part here that's important, as in that's another Eddie Van Halen thing that he does a lot, is bends this up 1.5 steps. Then he just uses this pinky to grab a note a whole step above it. So it's actually getting this effect of going. Up to there, it's not so bad. Here's where it gets fast, and this is the tricky part of the solo. We start with this little pickup note, right, on the of 4. And then, this is when we need to think about how many notes do I have in this beat, and how do I fit them in that beat, okay? So, when you look at this, we've got this set of 4 notes, and then a set of 3 notes. Okay, and all that's in one beat, I should say. So, okay, so this is one beat. And then we've got another beat that starts with, that's the first half of the beat, so all that's on beat number 2, the first half of beat number 2. And then we do this bend on the end of 2. And then that bend drops down right on 3. This next little part right here. When I listen to this slowly, and I don't know if it's just my ear not perceiving a difference in pitch or if it's muted or what, but I don't hear what a lot of other people hear on it. I hear, but it's that second note of those 2 notes seems to be kind of muted out, but what I see a lot of things written as, now that part's way more fun. It's also a lot more difficult, and you can do it this way. In this case, I'm sticking with this F sharp minor pentatonic, bending up the G string at the 16th fret, coming back down right on beat number 3, and then I get pull off to the 14th, and then I hit the 16th fret again, and then 14th on the B, right back to the 14th of the G. So, and that's the last of the trickery. One other note, and one other thing I might consider doing, and actually I do it this way, it just depends on, I don't know how my fingers are feeling. I don't know why I would do it one way or the other, but I would tend to hit this note sometimes up here. So I'll go like this, which is a very also typical Eddie kind of stretchy thing to do. So I would think that if that note was in there, he might have done it that way. But either way, it's a very common Eddie theme anyway. So going back to that note, this, my ear is probably wrong. I don't know. So you probably want to hit this either this way or this way. Very cool though either way. And then we're right back down to this little F sharp, almost blues. We just add in one extra passing tone right there. So, and then we're right back into the riff. So, next, let's address some of the little solo licks that are throughout this song. There's a couple key ones, and so those are the ones I'm going to target. So the first one is after the first chorus. Right? Let me get this. Now this one's kind of strange, very cool, and I say this all the time, but it's a total Eddieism, the way he takes his symmetry here. Right? And so here's the lick broken down. You can hit this first note, it's a pickup note, either open on the high E string or 5th fret on the B string. I hit it on the open high E. I just like the way it feels and sounds, I don't know. So we have this basic idea. It's this very awkward looking 2-fret stretch done twice. Right? Basic, that's the sort of skeleton of it. So we start this. Sounds like something out of like Close Encounters or something. Then the second part, he does the same idea except walks up to that 9th fret with the 3rd finger. Same thing on the D string. Then when we get down to the A string, I've seen that adding in a note in the middle of it, but I think it's just... Now the surprisingly tricky part about this fill is the last part. Doesn't seem like it should be that tricky, but if your fingers are tacky at all, say you're sweating but not quite enough to make it slide across the strings, they'll get stuck. And so just be ready for that. And the tricky part about that is keeping that 16th note shuffle through that little lick while you're moving those two notes perfectly parallel movement. They tend to drag and get stuck, and you'll end up hitting a wrong pitch. So just take it really slow. If you have any like string lube or something like that, put it on there, and you can just glide across it a little bit easier. So that's fill number 1. The next fill comes in the middle of a verse, or the second verse. So it's part of this. Very, very cool little thing. It's basically just... That's the idea. But how he gets there is what makes it cool. So he's hitting all these E's. E, 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 then down to a D. But getting to that E, he slides up on the high E string, roughly the 15th fret, and then back down from the same area, down to the open E, and then he bends the G on the low E string up to that E on the D string, and then he just pre-bends the bar, and you can either pick this note as it's pre-bent or just hammer onto it. I just hammer onto it, and then back down again. So we got... picked at that time. But anyway, so those are the two key fills for me anyway. And like I said, there's a bunch of fills later on in the tune and throughout the song. I can't remember all of them, but if that's something you're interested in, I am more than happy to make a video about that. It'll give me a good excuse to dig it up and start working on those things. So anyway, have a good time with this. Hope you're enjoying the Van Halen 2 stuff.